Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. I want to welcome you guys to another episode of Voices from Behind the Walls of the TDCJ. Of course, I am Queen Angela. I am the co founder of the Free Texas campaign. Of course, y'all know I am the founder of AALAC, African American Author Literacy Awareness Campaign, Inspiring Authors Magazine. I'm the visionary behind the Crew podcast. And I have my hand in so much, so much. I tell you, it's an honor and a privilege to be able to be before you guys. If you would, please share this out in your circle of influence because you never know what the next person may need or may be standing in need of, may come across some situations that they hear across this platform that may help them with the situation that they may be going through. If you would like to donate, you may also donate to the cause. There's a link scrolling at the bottom of the stream. Like always, I thank you guys for tuning in. Please share this in your circle of influence. I have an amazing individual that's going to be sharing with you guys on today. Y'all have heard him before on the platform, but like always, I like to give everybody an opportunity to introduce themselves. So if you would, Mr. Andrew, if you would introduce yourselves, please, and thank you.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Andrew Beard. I'm currently incarcerated on John B. Conley.
You'll have to speak up just a little bit. Can hardly hear you.
I'm sorry. Can you hear me now? Good?
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right. Good morning, everybody. My name is Andrew Lee Beard. Reside on the John B. Conley unit. I've been locked up for about 20 years, and I gave my life to Christ in 2012. When I talk to you guys, I always like to make sure I thank you first for just allowing this opportunity for me, for this platform, to be able to speak about positivity, my life, my faith. It's a blessing. I thank you guys for even listening to it. Also, I was taught to be clear and precise in my speech. So I like to get back to this times to make sure a person has understanding of what exactly is, because sometimes we miss certain little things or little nuances that are in words, and we miss the whole meaning of it. Today I want to talk to you guys about momentum. The definition of momentum is strength or force gained by motion or by a series of events. You see, in my intro, I tell you that I'm locked up. I tell you that I've been locked up for about 20 years. I never really tell my business story. I never really tell how I got to this place. It's not actually an easy story for me to talk about, especially since I'm guilty. I'm not bragging or boasting about anything. In fact, everything I've done is on public file records. I'm in here for murder. When you tell a story, a lot of the details are always missing. Sometimes one side has some detail, but sometimes the other side has the details. Contrary to popular belief, when you tell a story, the true purpose isn't for entertainment. The true purpose is actually to make you think. It's not just for entertainment, you know. My intention right now is not to glorify or even to deny my past or run from it. My intent is actually to protect life, to preserve life, to light and educate others about life. The path that I've traveled, and kind of just be a better person all the way around. I read a quote that says, "If like a man is prevent him from committing crimes, but if you teach a man respect for God, for self, for humanity and community, he will stop any and all who he may come in contact with and teach them the folly of his ways, so that they may not make the same mistakes that he did." Talking about momentum today. When we talk about momentum is it's in everything. It's life. Momentum is life. It's motion. It's continuing or perpetual motion. You see, from the moment of conception, from the moment God said, "Let there be light," there was motion. There was so much momentum going on. There was something that was happening. From the moment of our human conception, we humans were steadily moving, if it's consciously or unconsciously. Even at rest, our minds are just on a million places. When we rest, our minds are actually preparing themselves. Our muscles are preparing themselves. They're refreshing themselves. We always talk about emotion. We always talk about momentum, but we don't even actually pay attention to what's going on. When they talk about math, mathematics and stuff like that, math is life, but it has its own momentum. From subtraction, you go to division, and then you go to fraction. It's all momentum is going somewhere. When you do addition, it goes into multiplication, which goes into exponential. From the macrocosm to the microscopic, the mitochondria to puberty, maturity, cords, neurons, prions, the synapses in our brains, all of these things, they form links in memory, but they're always in continual motion. They have their own momentum. We humans are always in constant momentum. Our bodies change every 12 years on cellular level. Our skin replaces itself. Always something going on. Always some type of motion. I've been incarcerated for the past 20 years, and I miss the exponential growth of technology. I mean, I got to see it on TV or just to pass and to see the people that came into prison knew and how they behave, but I wasn't actually out there for it, and so I got to view society in a whole different way. I got to see all the social platforms come to birth. I got to see the digital information just be at the fingertips. I got to see coding. I got to see all these things just start coming about. Technology at the fingertips. I noticed when everybody's faces started being glued to those cell phones or those whatever their devices were. I remember all the fashion statements. I remember the selfie pictures that everybody used to do. But I remember the change in everybody. It was a lot of momentum. I remember the pop culture, how it changed, and then how they started saying trending. Nah, I started seeing this. It was real. It was real. It made me feel like a dinosaur, like I was anachronistic or old-fashioned. I started noticing the momentum of things, the momentum of something that trends and then how it falls off. See, momentum is everywhere. It's in our conversations, our everyday discussions. Sometimes when your momentum is not clear in your conversation, it's not clear and it's offensive. Sometimes misunderstandings happen. And when these misunderstandings happen, it halts that momentum. It causes different types of momentum. The start of an argument sometimes can happen because momentum has been shifted. I hear everybody nowadays say 0 to 100. The momentum can be good in a conversation. Excuse me for that. Momentum can be good in conversations, though. Sometimes when you have good momentum, you get understanding, you get peace, you get laughter. Sometimes you get edification. This is where you understand something fully. When you check out the momentum, you have it in relationships. You know, that perfect relationship that you have where everything's just right. You said those right things, those correct things, and the other person says the correct things, and everything just moves so smoothly. Then you also got those relationships where the momentum's just too fast. And I was a young adult. I was put in some adult situations. They had consequences. They had ramifications. There was too many things going on too fast. There was too much momentum, and I couldn't hold on. I see momentum when people fall in love. You have some of those momentum where it endures, it lasts forever. I don't know that many people that actually have golden marriages where they've been together for 50-something years. I've seen a few though. That momentum is perpetual, it keeps going. I think people fall in lust also and believe that it was love. They felt so fast in that momentum of the relationship that they couldn't tell how to proceed or how to stop. They just didn't know what steps to do to enhance that momentum or to enhance that relationship. They just went too fast. Sometimes our relationships that we encounter, they just move too fast. Sometimes the person's momentum is too strong. Sometimes you lose yourself in another person's momentum. Sometimes you lose your own purpose dealing with another person. Sometimes the momentum is just not fast enough, and you have those people in your life who just slow you down, hold you back. Everything it always has this type of balance. And sometimes you have to see where your momentum is actually going. They tell you about stars that burn too fast. They go up and then they just explode and they don't have anywhere else to go. Or candles that burn at both ends. These are people who have lived life really fast. They have so much momentum, some of them aren't even here anymore. There's this word that's called inertia. And inertia, it says the property of matter by which it remains at rest or uniform motion in the same straight line, unless acted upon by some external force. What is your inertia? What has moved you? What has put you in line? What are you in line with right now? These are some of the deep questions I had to ask myself while sitting in prison before my conversion. Momentum. Momentum is defined as the strength of force gained by motion or by a series of events. For me, it just wasn't one thing. No, it just wasn't just one thing how I ended up in prison. It was a series of choices spread out over time. It was a whole bunch of overtime over the years. My belief window, my imagination, my experiences, my expectations, my hurts, my triumphs, my failures, all these things were a series of choices that I made. A lot of the choices were incorrect choices. They say when you learn, it's supposed to be about making mistakes, and then you're supposed to decrease those mistakes. You're supposed to stop those mistakes, prevent those mistakes. It's about finding out what works and what doesn't work. It's about trial and error. So we can go forward and then we can learn from our mistakes. We can find opportunities in the future. That's what learning is really about. My first choice, I don't remember when I started making choices to where it became an unconscious decision of actually doing wrong. But I do know that I was making wrong choices. I remember viewing other people doing bad, doing evil. And I knew that I was smarter than them. I knew that I was better than them, than what they were doing. I saw those people who were doing evil, doing bad, doing wrong. I saw them not get caught, and I believed that I could do it too. Matter of fact, I started doing it. I did it pretty good too. I did the same thing they did, and I did it over and over and over until it became repetition. It became my norm. And then I got caught. But when I got caught, it wasn't something serious. It was something real small. And I justified it. I defended it because it was my way of life. I didn't even accept it as wrong. What I did though, then after that, I made a choice not to stop. I made a choice to modify my behavior. I made a choice to try to be sneakier, craftier. This became my lifestyle. This momentum, it picked up speed. It kept picking up speed. It picked up force. It picked up gravity. It picked up so much weight that I felt like I couldn't stop. Momentum is defined as strength of force gained by motion or by a series of events. I had a lot of events that just came one after another with full momentum. You ever see that picture of a boulder going down the hill, how it just keeps getting faster and faster? And you could chase it if you want, but you probably won't catch it because it's just going too fast. It's bigger than you. It's going too fast. I remember growing up, everybody says, "You're moving too fast, boy, slow down." And I couldn't because I was already going downhill. I didn't think to. I didn't even think to stop it. Why not? Sometimes we have so much momentum. Sometimes we move so fast. Sometimes we're warned of the consequences, the repercussions, but we never see ramifications. If you remember, it's not the exact consequence. It's something that branches out. It's something that happens over time, later, down the line. There's a TV show. I don't know if you've ever seen it before. It's pretty popular back in the day. It's called Friends. And there's two characters on there. One's named Joy. He's kind of eccentric, kind of funny, goofy guy. Playboy kind of. And then you got another guy named Chandler. He's kind of the nerd or a dork or geek or whatever you want to call him. Anyway, the two are arguing about something, and Joey tells Chandler, he says, "Man, you crossed the line." Chandler's like, "Hey, no, I didn't cross the line." He said, "No, you know what? You didn't just cross the line. The line is a dot to you." That's how far my momentum got me. My momentum got me so far that you can draw a line on the ground, and you can keep walking back, and you'll see that line. But if you keep walking back, and you keep walking back, and you keep walking back, that line becomes a dot. And you're so far away from that dot, so far away from that line, you think it's a dot. Momentum is very dangerous if you have the wrong pathway. In martial arts, momentum can be used against you. It's one of the key principles of it. The first rule in Aikido says something along the lines of, when the opponent comes at you, greet him. When he leaves, send him on his way. You watch any of those old Steven Seagal movies, every time somebody comes at him, he lets them go the way they want to go. But he adds a little bit of force. He adds a little bit of momentum to that pathway. And this usually has them hurt themselves. But then at the same time, if somebody tries to pull away from him, he lets them pull away. But he sends them on their way. Momentum is like that. Momentum can carry you far away from what you really want to do. You ever see those old gangster movies? I always see them. I think it's one with Denzel Washington. And he's a bad guy, and he's a cop, but he's a bad guy. And I'm watching he's doing all this stuff, and I remember watching it as I was younger, and I was like, man, he just stopped right there. He got enough. He just stopped what he's doing right there. But he's too far ahead. It's the momentum again. He just can't stop. He can't quit. He can't cut his losses. It doesn't seem like he wants to stop. Prison's full of this right now. I see arguments and misunderstandings. They just get out of line too far, too fast. You ever see those romantic movies? Those dramas and stuff where people are in relationships and all of a sudden they get in an argument. And I see it sometimes and I'm like, this dude loves this chick. How are they fighting? Why are they fighting? You know what? If I was them, I would just stop right there. But it never happens that way, especially not in real life. People get angry. Things happen. The momentum of the argument goes. And next thing you know, they're broken up. Everybody always looks back in hindsight and says, why didn't I stop? How come I didn't stop? That's the momentum is. My decisions were my own. I'm not trying to let everybody think that I'm blaming momentum for the things that I did. When you have a repetition, when you have muscle memory and doing evil, you continually do that and it becomes a part of your program. It becomes part of your lifestyle. Only way to fix it is you have to take everything down, you have to start afresh. You have to stop that momentum. I've seen it written. It says a river is easier to channel than to stop. That's kind of weird. They talk about time in the same way. You can't stop time. You can slow it down to certain moments, but you can't really stop it. Time goes on. Momentum does go on. But then it stops. See, now the question is not whether you will live or die or dream, but why you die, why you live, why you dream, when, and how. This is a choice. Every time you get a choice, though, you just get to pick the direction. You can only pick the path and how you do it. In 2009, I had a series of people that I loved. They just passed away. Passed away. It was like succession. You remember that definition of momentum, don't you? Yeah. There was a lot of momentum in my life. A lot of negative momentum. I lost so many people, and I didn't think it would happen to me. It was the ramifications of my momentum, not the consequences, not the repercussions. The later down the line, ramifications. Our belief is strongest when it should be at its weakest. This is the actual nature of hope. I was taught one thing about losing people. When you lose, don't lose the lesson. No matter how fast your momentum is going on, you have to pay attention to the things that you might have lost or could lose. In 2009, I didn't have any faith. I didn't have any freedom. I didn't have a foreseeable future. There was no one in my corner anymore. Everyone had passed away. I was at rock bottom. Again, when you lose, do not lose the lesson. At that low place I was at, I looked up and all you could see is darkness. And you could see that little pinprick of light. Again, I say to you, our belief is strongest when it should be at its weakest. This is the nature of hope. People I once believed in, they believed in me. How do I honor those people? How could I honor those people? I've already let momentum touch my life in a wrong way, in a negative way. How could I keep these people that I love in memories? How could I keep them correct? How could I keep them alive? I had to start a proper momentum. I like saying proper, like the British people said, because that means it's the correct form of it. I made a decision that day. I had to change. I had to change, period. I didn't like how my pathway, I didn't like how my previous momentum led me to this place that I was in, prison. I started to deal with my past. I've seen it written again. It says if all you can do is live with your past or deal with your past, that's not much of a life. You got to go the distance. You have to put momentum behind your past. When you put momentum behind your past, you don't just go the distance. You don't just live with it. You overcome it. I accepted that I had failed. I accepted that I lost. I accepted that I did wrong. I began to repent for my sins. I started praying deeply. I started studying. I learned so much. But then I started applying those things that I learned, those things that I studied. Then I moved forward. I kept moving forward so slowly. It was minute by minute, second by second, day by day. It was all positive though. It's hard. That momentum is so hard. I started dealing with Christian goodness, Christian kindness, and over time, a steady motion started happening, started building up this momentum, and I realized how much ground I gained. I gained emotional literacy. I gained discipline of myself. I gained education of my mind. I gained faith of the soul. My momentum started looking pretty good. I started going uphill. I decided to be a good person and to do those things that were required by a good person to live that way. No, I started to stop doing those bad things. Those things that were wrong, I stopped doing those things. And I started pursuing what was meaningful. You see, you can't change your life. You can change the momentum of it. It's like this is your movie. You're the lead actor. If you don't like the role you're in, stop doing that role. People in my face right now, they applaud me because of the changes I've made, from pure violence to pure compassion. I was taught this though. You have a lot of people that are being in your pathway that don't believe in your change. They think your momentum is still the same negative momentum, but you can't let that stop you. You have to go forward, and upwards. That's why I pass it out. They say never whisper to a deaf man. They say never wink at a blind man. Sometimes people do not want to hear what you're saying, even if it's positive, even if it's righteous. Sometimes people don't want to see you do good, even if it's positive, even if it's righteous. But with the correct momentum, with the correct faith behind your heart, you can let that hatred, you can let their words of discouragement, you can let it fuel your momentum. You can keep going forward, towards and up. I thank you guys.
Wow. Again, I thank you for stopping by and sharing. I tell you, momentum. That is something that I have grabbed hope to, and I can't let go, because I've not always been on the straight and narrow, but I had to get a grasp, a hold of my life, and I wanted to be that change that I desired to see in this world. So I had to change my momentum because I was headed in the wrong direction. So I had to change the direction that I was headed. And I tell you now that I have gained momentum in the right direction. I'm headed down the right roads. I'm so grateful walking across that stage this Saturday with honors and just hearing your name being called with highest honors. It just after 30 years, just imagine what I could have done if I had done that 30 years ago. But it's in God's timing. But I'm not complaining. I'm grateful. I'm thankful. And I just want to encourage that person that may be tuned in that it's time to shift your momentum. Whatever direction you're headed in, it's time to change. It's time to shift that. I thank you for sharing that on this morning. Um, I tell you, every time you come with some nuggets, and I truly appreciate that. I'm grateful for your willingness to share because I know some people they 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 find it hard to be transparent and to share because we sometimes get caught up in what other people think. I am so grateful that you are past that and that you have decided that you want to be the change that you want to see in this world despite your situation. Because one day you're not going to be behind prison walls. One day you're going to be free. And one day you're going to be able to be that living example that other people are going to be able to see. So I'm grateful for you on this morning. And thank you again for stopping by. And once again, you never fail. So you just keep being the encourager that you are. And I'm thankful for you. And I will continue to encourage you, to continue to pray for you, continue to lift you up on my end. Um, Anything that you would like to say to the people before we leave on today?
As a matter of fact, when we're driving, it's not just you get in the car and you know how to do it. I remember when I was younger, I used to get in my mom's car and I would just take off. And it was because I watched her for so long that I picked up the actual skills and talent to be able to drive. But once you get out on that road, that's a whole different thing. You have to worry about which signs. You have to pay attention to the signs. You have to pay attention to the streets. And sometimes we get lost when we drive. Everybody has this concept of Christians being super perfect, and that's not true at all. We're trying to attain perfection. We're trying to reach perfection, but we know we can't get that until we get to heaven. I'm not perfect, and no one else is perfect. But when we fall off, or when we go down the wrong path, you have to get back on the correct path. And that's what being human is about. That's what being Christian is about. It's about repenting and trying it again. It's about learning from what you did and doing the best you can do. And a lot of times people just forget that you got to go cold. They think you have to go cold turkey and just like quit. I'm not doing. No, it takes time. It takes steps. It takes a lot of steps. It takes day by day, second by second, minute by minute. It takes discipline, and that's going to get you back on your path. It's going to get you back on your momentum. Even if you're depressed, it just takes a little bit of time to get up out of that depression. But once you get out of that depression, you already know the steps that you have to do, or you can start studying the steps to start making those choices. It just takes time. That's it.
Amen. Well, thank you once again for stopping by and sharing with us. Again, it is always an honor and a pleasure to have you on. I want to thank you guys for tuning in today. If you've been blessed by anything that's been shared on this broadcast, I would ask that you please share it in your circle of influence. And if you would like to make a donation, there's a link streaming at the bottom of the broadcast that you can make a donation. All donations are welcome. Again, I thank you guys for all that you do and all of the support that you provide to me across my various platforms. I love you guys, and I will be back. I have two more individuals to share with you guys on today. Today is Monday, Monday morning motivation. We get motivated on Mondays. So this is another episode of Voices from Behind the Walls of TDCJ. Y'all be blessed, and thank you for tuning in.